Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I really wanted to talk about the 3 top mistakes that you might be doing while you're trying to connect to your intuition. So if you don't know, in my belief at least, we have 2 kind of sides to our inner being or our being in general. We have our egos and we have our intuition. And our egos, they are more responsible for our mental or logical or rational sides of things, and they're more practical, but at the same time, it's inside of our egos that we hold all of our belief systems, our limiting beliefs, and our repeated pattern of thoughts. While in our intuitions, we have this connection to our hearts, we have this connection to our higher selves. So in some sense, the ego is what's actually on the earth, and then our intuitions, it's what in essence is connected to the whole and to the universe and to this energy of oneness. And so when you're connected to your intuition, you're then connected to your dharma, to your purpose in life, and to your highest self in general. So it's really interesting for us to always learn how to take a step back from our egos and connect your intuitions. And I can go into this with more detail to how to understand what's our egos and what's our intuitions and all of this type of stuff. But on today's video, I really wanted to talk about this connection to our intuitive side. And so for me, the way that I do this, I do it in a lot of different ways, but I think it's really interesting and really important for us to have this deeper connection to our intuitive sides and to our intuitions in general. And so every day, or at least every week, I try to connect to my intuitions and ask my intuition some general questions or even some really specific questions. And the way I like to do this is by writing to my intuition. And so it's really simple. I actually learned this with Jess Lively, and you just write a question and you wait for the answer. It's that simple. But the thing is, because of our egos, it's not that simple. It turns out it ends up being a very big struggle, especially if you're doing these 3 mistakes, or I don't want to call them mistakes, but these 3 things you might be doing that can block you from receiving those answers. So stay tuned until the rest of the video to find out what are the 3 top things. So the first thing that you might be doing that it's making it really hard to receive answers from your intuition is you're giving your ego way too much power. And by that, I mean that instead of allowing yourself and your ego to take a step back and putting and giving space for your intuition to come through, you are giving your ego way too much power, being it on making your main decisions and your top decisions in life, or when you're dealing with something, allowing your ego to have the ideas and the thoughts about it instead of allowing the intuition's perspective to come through, and just giving your ego this power and this way too much power in your life in general. And what that makes is that your ego starts believing that it's the driver in your life, so it's in the driver's seat of your life, and your intuition's voice starts becoming fainter and fainter and smaller, but not because it's your intuition's fault, but just because you're giving your ego so much power that you stop, or your ego stops allowing your inner voice to come through. So this is the first thing that I think it's really important. And for that, I believe that when you practice daily giving your intuition space, you will then become more tuned in to these answers, and you'll then become more allowing of what's coming through. So that's the first thing that I think that you should reflect about. The second thing that I think might be coming in your way of connecting to your intuition is having way too much expectations. So that's something that's really big for me, because whenever I sit down to write to my intuition, my ego always knows what the answer it wants it to be. Always. Like, am I gonna move out of this place? Am I gonna get somewhere in the future. So my ego is always having expectations, and the thing is, expectations live inside of our egos. Like, they just live inside of our egos. It's obvious that they do that, because expectations, they are really related to the sense of future, and our egos have this sense of timing. So they have the sense of what is past, what is present, and what is future, and our egos are constantly living either in the past or in the future. And our intuitions, they are always connected to the present moment. Always. They are in peace, and they are in the present moment. They have peace of whatever is happening to you. They're peaceful in that present moment. They're not judging. They're not thinking that it's bad or good, that it's right or wrong. They're just there, living in its most present and honest self, because that's our intuitions, that's our heart, that's our highest self. And so when we drop the expectations of what we want our intuitions to answer, we then again open space for our intuitions to come through us. Because when we are constantly living in the expectations of what we want the answers to be, we're constantly living in the mode of our egos. We're constantly living in the future. And then when you finally, again, take that step back and just listen and allow whatever message that has to come through, you then allow your intuition to flow through you. And you would then allow the actual message that your intuition and your higher self actually wants to give you. So I think that's a very big one, because at least for me, I'm a very mentally active person. My mind is really active, and so whenever I sit down with my journal to write my intuition, I always try to take a step back and realize that whatever needs to happen will happen, and that I know that my intuition and my highest self, they always have the best possible outcome aligned for me, and they know what's best for me. My ego doesn't know what's best for me. It thinks it knows, but it doesn't. So who really knows, it's our intuitions. And then the third thing you might be doing wrong, quote unquote, I don't like this word, but you know, just for at least your ego will get it. It's not trusting your intuition and not trusting what you're receiving from it. Because again, our egos have so much expectations, and they're so embedded in this idea of what's right and wrong, and in this duality in general, that it actually thinks it knows what's right and what's wrong. And again, it thinks it knows what's best for you. And so sometimes it's so easy for us to receive these intuitive messages and these downloads and these insights, and our egos will just grab it and say that it's wrong and it's not right, and that we shouldn't do it, and that it's stupid and stuff like that. And the less you trust your intuition, the less it will come through you. But not because it will get mad at you and will be like, this person's not listening to me, so I might as well just stop giving them messages. Of course not. Your intuition lives in this unconditional loving place. It's not about that. It's just about the layers that you start to build between you and your intuition. So whenever you're not trusting of it, or whenever you're allowing your ego to come and answer the things for you, you then start to build this layer on top of layer on top of layer, and it will become like a casket between you and your intuition, and it will become thicker and thicker. So the more you trust it, and the more you allow it, and the more you allow and dissolve the limiting beliefs that you have and the presence of your ego, but again with compassion, the less this casket will be, like the less thicker this casket will be, and the more connected you will be to your intuition, the more clean the channel will be. So you'll be able to receive the messages with more certainty, with more trust, with more knowingness as well, and with more clarity in general. So that's it, guys, for today's video. I hope you liked it. I hope you try this as well. Try connecting to your intuition, try writing to it. You can try writing to it, you can try crystals as well. They really work because they are really great to connect to this higher self and this higher energy that you have. And so you can try it in various different forms. You can try it in meditations as well. Your intuition is always with you, always. You can try asking it for signs. There's so many endless ways. I can actually make a video all about it, dedicated to how to connect to your higher self and also how to receive these messages from your intuition. But I do hope you try those out, those top things that you might be doing wrong. Again, I hate this word, but the things that you can do right or the things that you can actually do to make yourself more aligned to those messages that you want to receive. And so you can have more clarity as well on the things that you're receiving and on this connection to your highest self and to your purpose in life. So yeah, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because I'm always uploading video about spirituality, self-development, and just wellness and lifestyle in general. And I hope you have a very beautiful and inspiring day, and I'll see you next week. Bye!